Ooh, wasabi guys, Void here, coming back at you with another Commander 2017 video here. This time we're going to be talking about the best reprints, the top 10 reprints that we are going to be getting here. Among the 4 decks, these are the reprints that are going to help form the basis for what these decks are supposed to do. They're a great way to lower the price for these cards. They're a great way to make it easier for us to build the tribes, especially considering every single card on this list is going to be at least $5 or around that $5 range or higher. There are some good reprints that fall under that range, such as Blade of the Blood Chief, Return to Dust, Swiftfoot Boots, Soul Ring, the usual suspects. A lot of these are on this list because they're in that $5 and up range that usually it adds up and it makes it difficult to build decks. So the fact that these come with the decks makes it a lot easier to form your own build, knowing that a lot of the cards that are in that $5 and up range are also included in the deck. It also helps you figure out which one of these is worth buying more so than the others, purely from a value standpoint, which is also interesting, which is what I'm going to get to throughout this list. I'm going to be talking about that. So let's get started off here. Number 10 is Leonin Arbiter from Scars of Mirrodin. He's only number 10 because even though he is a cat and he does fit in with the cat tribe just for that reason, his ability is more or less just a hate effect. It's not necessarily going to synergize that well with the cat tribe. So while it is a good card and it is around that $5 mark, which is why it's worth reprinting, overall, its ability, while it is good and underrated, I don't think it's going to make the cut for a lot of people. When they look to replace and optimize a deck build, they're most likely going to look at a card like this and taking it out. Doesn't really synergize with equipment, doesn't really synergize with combat. The only thing he really does synergize with is the fact that he is a cat. To me, that's just not good enough. Number 9, Udvara Hellkite. Absolutely amazing. If you love dragons, you will love Udvara Hellkite. Super aggressive. You're going to get to the point where your whole board is just a bunch of 6/6 dragons. Really works well, obviously, in Dragon Tribal. It's just a good dragon all around. Even if you're just attacking with him, getting one 6/6, you obviously want to attack with as many dragons as possible to get as many 6/6 dragon tokens as you can. Perfect card to put in the deck as well because of that synergy. So it made sense flavor wise and it made sense value wise because it is one of those cards from Return to Ravnica set that didn't really have too many super expensive cards. This is one of those that, it's sort of like a no-brainer. You're going to reprint it in the Dragon Tribal deck. Number 8 is Marchesa the Black Rose. Really just on this list for the main fact that Conspiracy is one of those sets where if you leave it alone for too long, a lot of those cards are just going to get expensive, in particular the legendaries. Brago got reprinted in Eternal Masters. Now it was Marchesa's turn, so really cool. I mean, it synergizes with just combat tricks in general, but really Marchesa's just a brilliant commander, and the fact that these decks are not just meant to be out of the box playable, they're meant to be sort of a foundation that sparks your interest in something else. Like you can look at a legendary creature from the deck and say, okay, someone who has never played with Marchesa before may now want to play with Marchesa because of the fact that she's included in the Wizard deck. I find that to be incredible, and I love it. Gives new players an incentive to look through the deck and, figure out, maybe I can take bits and pieces of this out instead of just playing with it as a whole precon. You optimize it and you try to find something that really works well, something that's both competitive while at the same time appealing to your playstyle. Number 7 is Captivating Vampire. Absolutely love him. Very similar to Udvara Hellkite with the reasonings for why he's on the list. A little bit higher because I feel that he's easier to get out there and he's more likely going to have an impact for you in a vampire deck versus Udvara and just dragons. He has an awesome ability. You just tap some vampires to gain control of a creature. Hence the name, he's captivating. So just that one printing from M11. And that was really all we got. And it's really cool that we get a reprint of him finally. And it makes sense. It's in a vampire deck. Why the hell not? He's also sitting around that $5 mark. The next we have Scion of the Dragon. Now for a while, this dude was the shit when it came to Dragon Tribal. He was the primary dragon commander that everybody would play with. He's 5 colors, so you have so many options, and definitely was a cool ability to have any dragon from your deck go to the graveyard and have him become a copy of it until end of turn. Kept a lot of players on the edge of their seat with how unexpected things went with the deck. there's a lot of options with Scion, and I think that's what makes Commander very cool, is that you have options. So not only was he cool for Dragon Tribal, but he was just cool for the fact that he had a ton of options, and definitely a no-brainer when it comes to reprinting. It's a 5-color Dragon Tribal deck. We all kind of knew they were going to reprint anyway. Plus, the only printing was from Time Spiral, so why the hell not? Number 5 is Leonin Shikari. Another one of those $5 cards, but very cool. Only got one copy of it from Dark Steel, which was a long time ago. Definitely needed a reprint. It's only fitting that we got it in the Cat Tribal deck. Makes perfect sense. The deck has a sub-theme with artifacts and equipment, so having the equip costs that you can do at instant speed, it's going to make the deck a lot more efficient. It's going to make the deck easier to play with, and it definitely works well with something like a Skull Clamp, to where you can do that at instant speed, sack a token, you know, draw 2 cards. Really cool. Or you could use the 0 cost equip for Lightning Grease and just bounce that to any creature you feel like in response to targeted removal. That's always fun. But yeah, for 2 mana, you have a cat that's just pure value for any sort of Voltron deck. Not just for Cat Tribal, but just white Voltron in general. It's not a bad option. Really cool. I love this little kitty cat. At number 4, we have Nin the Pain Artist. Definitely needed a reprint of her. I'm talking about yet another one of those legendaries from older sets. This time, Commander from 2011. She was in the Political Puppets deck, where she kind of fit well for a different reason. More or less, you're just going to be pinging other players' creatures, giving them card draw, whereas with this, you're more likely going to be abusing the tap ability in Wizards. Either you're going to find a way to constantly untap her and then reuse her ability. You're either going to do that or use Marcel for her activated ability, which is cool. So you have options there, and definitely cool because last year we got Zedru reprinted, we got Gave reprinted, so it's only fitting that we get yet another one of those original cards from Commander back in 2011, so definitely needed her. She was above the $5 range anyway. Number 3 is Havengul Lich from Dark Ascension. Just a good value card in graveyard-based decks, not just Wizards, but, you know, zombies. Once you go into the blue-black zombies, you're almost guaranteed to see Havengul Lich in there. But it's not exclusive to Zombie Tribal. You could just throw it into any good graveyard deck that uses Dimir colors. Good value there. It copies the activated ability until end of turn as well, so it's very good value on a creature. And being able to recast anything from your graveyard, yeah, you are paying its cast cost, but it's still recursion. It may not be as efficient as you want it to be, but it's still recursion, and a very good card that fits into a lot of decks. Number 2 is Door of Destinies, one of the best cards that they could have reprinted for this set as a whole, because of the fact that it synergizes with tribes, specific creatures. You choose a creature type, it gets a counter on it, and each creature of that chosen type gets +1/+1 for each counter on Door of Destinies, and it just keeps going and going and going, and it gets out of hand pretty quickly, especially if you're playing something like a Krenko. Really hilarious. But it's a great card, perfect reprint for this set here. It was originally printed in Morningtide, and it had some promos, but pretty much sat around $7, $8. It can make it harder for new players to get into tribal themes when cards are above that $5 mark. It's affordable for most players, but again, price does come into an equation here because it all adds up, and Door of Destinies is absolutely a staple for tribal themed decks, especially decks where you can constantly get out creatures, just abuse the counters and just get all your creatures just massive. Then number 1, we have Mirari's Wake. Absolutely no-brainer here. Why this is number 1 here. It fits into literally every single deck that's playing Celestia colors should be playing Mirari's Wake. There's just no doubt about it. It doubles literally every land type you control. It doubles the mana that it would produce. So it doesn't matter if it's a forest or a plains or a command tower. It doesn't matter if it's a colorless land. It's going to add double that mana. And it's just great value. You're going to play this even in a 5-color deck. They're either going to put this in the cat deck or the 5-color dragon deck because it's going to work well in both decks. And it's an auto-include, like I said before, in every single commander deck that's playing Celestia colors. So it's a no-brainer. It's a card we haven't seen too often before. The last time it got reprinted was in Original Conspiracy. It's been printed a couple times as a promo and in Commander's Arsenal, so not the easiest card to get from those. And Conspiracy wasn't opened a whole lot, but it's sitting around that $15 mark. So it is one of those cards that if you want to play multicolored, if you want to play decks with at least Celestia colors, this is going to be one of those cards that you're going to consider a staple. You're going to most likely need it to take your deck to that next level. You need more mana. Mana means more options. Mana means you can do more things. So it's a no-brainer why it's at number 1 on this list. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video of the top 10 best reprints in Commander 2017. Let me know what you think is the best reprint from Commander 2017. Let me know what you think about Commander 2017 as a whole. Anyway, guys, Void here, signing off. Y'all have a wonderful day.